So I've
traces.
got auto head and auto depth in, but we'll float backward.
Copy.
Copy that, Bridge. Thank you.
Get a little bigger delta.
Continue the moves.
Some of these features like burrows and grazing marks
All right.
You can go.
are preserved in
really
the rock
affect
record.
Right, another 50.
And
Yes,
they
please.
tell us
Bridge, this
something
is
about
ROV
an
nav.
organism. We call them trace fossils.
We like what you've been doing so far, so we'd like to do it again. Another 50 meters at 350
Often don't
degrees,
know
a speed of
what
0.2 knots,
created
please.
the specific trace, but they do tell us something about the environment.
Good copy, Bridge. Thank you.
Which is why we often look at rocks, is more to tell us the environment, that they
Watch
are good
lead. This is ROV
indicators.
nav.
In fact, this environment, if it were
Go
preserved,
ahead, RV Nev.
Just wanted to let
It
you
would
know that
be-
we finished another 100-meter segment. That's a total of
it would be
500 meters
preserved
so far.
as a mudstone,
Copy that. Thank you.
lithified mud, basically. And we would see ripples in it that would tell us current velocities. The larger the ripple, the stronger the current. It would tell us the current direction. If we could collect a rock in place
push
and
it
know
up.
its orientation, then we could determine
And then
the path of
we're going
ancient
along
currents
350.
as well.
350, that's correct.
Copy.
Just for everybody's information, we've now made 500 meters
Good copy, Bridge.
transect
Thank you.
since we hit the bottom. I think that's about
Go
halfway.
ahead and push hard ahead, and I'll tilt up to 45 for you.
Okay. Pushing forward.
We just passed over an anemone that looked very similar to the one that we saw previously.
Another 525 meters to waypoint 2.
Copy that, Nav.
Tilting up.
And that looks like another,
Older.
yeah, more weathered.
This is 50
Weathered.
degrees.
Copy.
That should be
Doing
pretty
great.
nice.
We haven't seen as many of these mounds that we saw earlier.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we're on a different slope face,
Yeah,
right?
probably.
There's some kind of tube. It's not very big. And there's looks like barnacles on another tube or something here.
Where's that, watch lead?
I think it's just center screen at the bottom. The barnacles
Okay.
just went off.
Pilot, this is watch 1.
Go ahead, watch 1.
Could we get a zoom on that? Yeah, that thing on the right, the long skinny thing, and then the other organism or something on the left.
Copy that.
Okay, I'm gonna come down just a few meters and give you a little more tether.
Whoa. Still getting the hang of the little bit of current here. Okay. Can you zoom on that video?
Yep.
I think I'm a little bit too far away.
It's a partial. I can see how far I can get in. Yeah, if we were centered up, I could get it.
All right.
Yeah, I would say that
coming
these do
about.
look like gooseneck barnacles, possibly.
All right, I'm gonna scooch in.
All right. And whenever you get a chance, if you could move your mic closer to your mouth, that would be great.
Copy that. How's that?
That's perfect.
Want to try again?
Yep.
Do you want me to get in closer, watch lead? Is that what you wanted to see?
Looks like barnacles maybe on a former tunicate stock, like the tunicate that we collected.
Okay.
Okay, tilting down.
Yeah, let's take a look
Copy.
at that other object
Now
we saw.
looking down at 70 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob Carney said it might be a xenophyophore, which would be our first one of those we've seen.
What's the other object, watch lead?
It's the thing that's just in front of the skid. There's a little,
Just below the lasers now.
yeah, just below
Okay.
the lasers.
All right. Come on in video.
So
That,
these are
that white
that
object?
unicellular
No, they want
organisms.
To the lower left.
The globby thing on the left. Dark globby.
That might actually is it just the entrances to mud mounds?
Oh, it could be that also.
Tilting
No, it
down.
looks like something.
Looking down at
Eh.
you.
Oh, and there's a
It's a resident.
90 degrees.
resident amphipod or
That's crazy.
crab.
Okay, watch lead. I'm going to have to get going pretty soon.
Okay.
Roger that.
We can't stay here very long, so take a quick look, and we'd love some feedback from the chat room.
Nice shot, Andy.
All right. Okay, full wide video.
Yep.
Right down into the burrow.
Okay. I'm going to start pushing out, co-pilot.
Sure.
That was interesting, whatever it was.
Is that full wide video?
It was.
Okay, just
Yeah.
past the skids. You can go back past the skids.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to kind of go a little bit quicker to get back out in front of you,
Copy.
co-pilot. Okay, that's a little bit more comfortable.
Okay, camera is at 50
is that another
degrees.
beer can?
Copy that.
What I can't tell what that is that we're passing
Looks like
over.
there's a fish going off
I
left.
thought like a
Maybe not.
globular sponge, round
Okay.
sponge. I'm not sure.
Right.
No, I
Sorry.
think you're right. We want
It
to take
is
a
up in
peek at
the dark.
these? A quick video zoom?
Sure, if that's possible.
Sure.
Do we want to try to get the fish first?
Which fish?
Oh,
Not the
maybe
fish,
it's just
the,
a sponge.
sponges.
Never mind.
Look, two white, right in the center.
Okay. Setting down. Okay, you can come in video.
All right.
Okay, this looks like that
Sorry.
sponge we saw
Sorry.
previously that we didn't really know what it was. And then we have another one of the stalked sponges, a little baby one in front of
And two
the
behind.
front and two
Let's
behind.
hold them.
Can we pan over maybe to the left to see
Sure. Come on out
the
video.
mound that's there? There's something on that.
Yeah, it looks like there's something growing on the sargassum.
All right, let me rotate down a little bit, then you can come in video.
Sounds good.
Well, that's a blue scale worm,
Sorry
isn't
about
it?
that.
Wow.
I think he's roaming around.
Tilting
Is
down.
that a
Copy that,
Precision?
Bridge. Thank you.
that's holding
Pilots,
everything
you alright
together?
with another move?
I don't know.
Sounds
I
good to
see
me.
a
Yep.
stalk.
Keep it rolling another 50 meters.
Okay, yeah.
Bridge, this is ROV nav. Same move, 50 meters at 350 degrees. Speed 0.2
Hi,
knots,
guys.
please.
This is Chris Kelly calling in.
Looking
Hi,
down at
Chris.
70
For your
degrees,
video?
Hi,
Andy.
Chris.
Good copy,
Video's
Birch.
clear,
Thank you.
whatever.
Okay, watch lead, is that good for this organism?
We want
Just a comment on those sponges and the one you're looking at now. The one that's on screen, I'm a little delayed. Looks like some type of clatterized to me, but I don't know if I've ever seen that particular variety again before. But that's a carnivorous sponge, and he's all fouled with this sargassum, so that probably is impacting his ability to capture prey.
I'm going to have to start moving soon, watch lead.
Before that, they look like they were also
Copy that, Birch. Thank you.
Yeah, watch lead. If this is something we're interested in collecting, we'll have to make a decision pretty quickly.
In
Move
the
on.
genus Hyalomina, they go to a subgenera, but then the species are not very well known beyond that.
Okay.
But we've seen them out
We'll
here
go ahead and move
on
on.
rocks
Okay.
mostly.
Full
They
wide.
have what's called a
Video.
lophophlitus attachment, which means
Alright.
they attach
Gonna push out.
via thread
Yep,
to
go ahead.
the substrate. And they can apparently do this on rocks or in sediment. And so that's what I think those two pot-bellied sponges are, and that's pretty interesting because, again, we only saw them on rocks out here in the Pacific, but it sure looks like that's what it is.
Wow, that's really interesting, Chris. We're thinking about a collection, but unfortunately the ship is moving us along, so we aren't going to be able to do that. But really happy to have those more positive IDs. Thanks so much, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That might be the first carnivorous sponge that I've seen with my own eyes. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's the best guess. I mean, Shirley was on. She's kind of the expert in
I'm
the
at
demo
45
sponges,
degrees.
and that's
Copy
what
that,
the
pilot.
clatterizers are. But it sure looks very familiar to some of the confirmed clatterizers that we've had out in the Pacific the last few years.
Wow, that's interesting.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Chris.
nice to see a little color down here with those blue worms. Quite vivid. We're seeing some smaller bed forms here. These aren't quite as organized as those ripples that we saw along the steep slope of the larger bed form, the dune that we're on. These are a little less organized.
Okay, looks like we're streamed again.
We're looking pretty good.
Go ahead, watch one. Yep, give me 1 second to calculate it.
Let me get in front of this.
An echinoderm. We haven't seen
Yeah, it looks like a Brisingid.
any of the Brisingids or brittle stars. At least, did you see one earlier when I was?
Nope.
Okay, so this is the first of today. We've seen several Brisingids on previous 2 dives.
And until looking at
Okay, I'm gonna
this kind of depth, I
Come
didn't
back
realize
over.
that there were some that actually just laid on
Co-pilot.
the sediment and captured
You see your light
things
pool pretty
at the
clearly,
end of
so
their
Yeah.
arms.
Instead of migrating around, yeah. I've never heard
being,
of that.
Yeah, up on some kind of coral or elevated off the seafloor.
Watch lead, this is Nav.
Go ahead, Nev.
We have about 1 hour and 11 minutes left in our dive.
Roger that. Thank you. And that might be the Phryelidae, which is one of the two Brisingid genera or families. And that was the one that we saw yesterday as well on the sediment. And Chris Kelly thought that that was the family because of the number of arms and at the depth that we are, which is 3,341 meters.
So pilots, if we are going to make it to waypoint 2 within the time that we have left, going at decimal 2 knots, we'd have about 6 minutes of not having to be moving. Should I try and bump it up to decimal 3 or leave it at decimal 2?
Leave it at decimal 2.
Yeah, copy that.
Is that a fish?
I think that's a shrimp, but they still might be interested in it.
Okay.
Yeah, something on the sargassum. It's a little different, but maybe it's just a remnant stalk of something else.
Okay, you want to... Oop.
Yeah, just a quick zoom. And there's a little fish there.
Tilting
There's a
down.
shrimp.
Looks like a shrimp in the background.
Looking at 60 degrees.
And the stalk doesn't look too healthy, whatever it is.
Copy that, co-pilot.
Wonder if that's a sea pen, a former sea pen.
Well, the knobbiness
Oop,
of
there he
that
goes.
stock looks to me like it would be a crinoid stock, but
Okay, I'm
not
coming
sure.
off.
I haven't got a zoom in yet.
We're full wide.
Copy video. $60 degrees, so we got a little time. Up.
Okay, we have several scientists thinking that that was probably a crinoid stalk that we just looked at. Now we're coming up on another sponge.
Tilting down.
Copy
Looking
that,
at
Bridge.
80 degrees.
Okay. So, I should get out in front.
Keep on trucking, pilots.
Yes, please.
Bridge, this is ROV nav.
Alright, I'm going to...
Another
Gonna push out
50
then,
meters
co-pilot.
at 350 degrees.
when you're ready.
Speed 0.2, please. Good copy, Bridge. Thank you. Watch lead, this is ROV Nav.
Go ahead, Nav.
Wanted to let you know that we have completed another 100-meter segment and a total of 600 meters for this dive.
Roger that. Thanks very much. So we've
Tilting
moved
up.
600 meters now since our initial point where we sat down on the seafloor.
I'm now looking at 50 degrees.
Copy.
Copy that, Bridge. Thank you.
And it looks like we have another glass sponge coming up here.
Can do a quick zoom.
All right.
Beautiful. Euplectella species
Tilting down.
is Chris Kelly's quick ID. This genus has Lophophytus attachment, thread rather than plates, so it can anchor into the sediment.
Looks like there's a worm or
Other
something inside it
euplectellids have
at the base.
basophytus attachment, and they glue to rocks
Video's
via
clear
a plate.
whenever.
Okay.
Looking down
Full line.
70 degrees.
All right, I'm going to get going.
Full wide.
Tell you what, if you push forward and I'll tilt up to like 30 or 40 degrees, you'll have more time
Okay.
to find stuff.
All right, I'm going out.
So just to clarify, I'll continue the moves and I'll just let you know when I make them. Does that
Copy
work?
that.
That's great. Yep.
All right. We'll continue with 50-meter moves at
Yes.
decimal 2.
Sounds good. And then if we need to stop to sample or something, we'll just have the ship come do an easy stop and back up 10 meters like we did before.
Sounds good. And I'll do that on all samples.
Yeah. Yeah. We should
Just
probably
to be
just
safe.
assume we'll need to back up. Yeah.
Right.
We are
Sounds good.
inching our way up
Okay.
a steep slope
35
of a
degrees.
very large
that.
bed form. In fact, this bed form has almost 80 meters of relief. If I'm not correct, let me see.
Okay, I'm in front now.
Looking good.
Got a burrow on the right. Didn't look like anybody was home.
Actually, I was confusing with tomorrow's dive. I have to keep these dives straight. And I was looking at the profile that we took of this area. This is a 30-meter high sand wave or giant bed form. So 30 meters. That's that's huge. And so we're climbing up this slope. I don't know if we'll make it to the crest. It's some distance to cover. I don't think we will.
Nav said that we need to only have about 6 minutes of stop time if we're going to make it to the crest.
Okay.
We're at 3,332 meters now, so we've come up a bit, quite a bit. 10 meters or so.
we've been curious to see what was going to be on this kind of substrate. We expected it to be mud. We didn't expect to find rock outcrops. We knew that we were diving in an area of these giant bedforms. And so this is truly an exploration. We didn't know what to expect, and it's good that we can sort of characterize this whole area as being very similar. I think once we look at the video and go through the distance of the dive, we might see broad differences from when we first started and through the middle until now, but generally it's been quite similar. These sand waves are part of a very large region that looks very similar. What we're doing today is called ground truthing. We've made some hypotheses as to what we'd find by looking at the multi-beam, by looking at past records of sediment samples that were collected from various means. There have been some drill holes nearby to this region. I don't think any in these sand fields. There have been, what else do we have? An Alvin dive, not right here, but close by. And so for this specific area, we didn't have a lot of information. So seeing it with the eyes of the ROV is a nice ground truth to what we predicted. In terms of the biota, we really just didn't know. Is that fair to say, Cheryl?
Yeah, I mean, at this depth, the biota is going to be few and far between, especially without hard substrate. So.
And if you've watched our previous two dives, in both we experienced areas of flat mud similar to this, not exactly the same. Some had rocky pebbles strewn about. And we found biota clinging to rocks here and there, but as soon as we encountered true outcrops of rock that were in place, poking up above the sediments, then we saw a huge increase in the abundance of organisms and in, I guess, the diversity.
Yeah, very high diversity of sponges. That was amazing.
And Cheryl, maybe you can talk a little bit about why we're interested in the sponges and the deep sea corals.
So now you're getting
we
out
aren't
to the end
seeing
of your
them
tether.
here, but it's important to know
so you could
the
just
deep sea corals aren't
keep
here.
doing what you're doing.
Right.
Okay.
And only a few
Just
varieties of
move along.
sponges are here.
Okay.
Right. I spoke about this a little while ago, but there might be people who've been on the line more recently. So the sponges and corals are basically very fragile ecosystems.
Copy that, Bridge. Thank you.
So
And
if
Bridge,
we were
the ROV
to
nav,
destroy a habitat,
would like to make another move. Same exact thing. 50 meters
maybe
at
never come back, or
350
it could
degrees.
take a very long
Speed
time.
0.2 knots,
if a
please.
fishing net, for
So that's
instance,
just the
were
current
to come
right
and
now.
wipe out
Yeah.
one of these
Good copy,
areas
Bridge.
of
Thank you.
sponges or corals, it may take decades.
Pilots,
it might
I just put in another
never
50-meter move.
ever grow
Copy
back
that,
to
Thank
you.
how it is when we
You
see
want to
it
pull
here.
up the
So what we're
expert
trying to
view
do
on
is
the
we
fins?
can't look
See
everywhere
what the
to
current
figure out
is?
where these habitats are. So we use
Oh, I started moving again.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
habitat suitability
Here, we can,
modeling,
we can do
which
that,
takes
though.
into
Yeah, let's do
account
it.
things about the
All
life
right.
history of organisms
Copy that,
and
Bridge. Thank you.
information about their
So here I'll
environmental
point into it.
constraints.
And then I'll drift.
Okay.
And we try to predict where these habitats are, and then we need to ground truth those models. So this kind of thing, coming out with an ROV,
I've got to
putting
go
eyes
slow.
on the bottom and seeing if we're correct that this is or is not an area where there are these sensitive habitats. That helps us kind of just
Okay, I'm drifting.
partition
Okay.
out
So
and
if you go
spatially
to the
plan
fins
to
program
use the
on the high
benthos
pack
and
left.
the resources that are available in the deep sea off our
And then
coasts
in the top
a
right, there's a
environmentally
button that's expert
wise
mode.
way.
I think it's like the top right.
So there's
Top
fishing
right of
that may
window,
impact them. There's also exploration for oil
and
and
then on
gas.
the left side of the screen, there
and
should be
so
like velocity, north and
as
east or
humans,
something.
we
and then total
North
velocity.
speed,
will
east
need
speed,
resources
And then what's
from
the
the
one
deep
below
sea
that?
more and more as time
vert
goes
speed,
on.
speed
Yet
norm.
we can extract
Should
them
be the
and use them in a sensible
total
way if we just know
speed
where
vector.
things are.
I'm not sure what it's labeled, but it's below north and east.
Below north and east is vert speed, and then below that is speed norm.
What is speed norm?
Okay, I'm going to push forward.
Speed
about
norm
that.
is
And
0
it would seem
decimal.
as if this area
Okay,
that we're
sorry.
in here
No.
Okay.
would
Look
be,
at it now.
Given
I was just
the
thrusting.
proximity
0
of
decimal
so many
17,
millions of people that live along
18,
the southeast
About
coast, it
0.2
seems
knots or
that,
so.
of course, this
Decimal 2
area would be
knots.
very well known, and we would know exactly where
Okay.
everything is.
Okay, I'm
and
gonna
that's
push
so
back up
not true.
into the
Every dive that we've done
center.
has been in places where people have not been before, or not even close, which is rather amazing. And so all of this information is really important to managing our
watch
deep
lead's
sea
calling you, pilot.
resources in a sustainable
Go ahead and
way.
watch lead. You're very soft, watch lead. I can't hear you. Are you talking to pilot? Okay, I can hear you better. I just turned you up. Okay. We were doing a drift test real quick to get a feel for the current. Okay, yeah, that guy right there. All right.
Tilting down, looking at you, 80 degrees.
Okay. All right, Watchley, we can get a quick zoom on that, and then we're gonna have to move on. Okay, you want to come in, video?
All right.
All right, sorry, I think I jumped the gun a little bit there.
That's all right. We can probably
Okay,
get.
do you have any more?
Yep.
Nope.
Ah.
Oops.
It's okay.
All right, full wide?
Yep, we're full wide.
Okay, I think,
90 degrees.
okay. Yeah, let me,
It's an interesting linear row of mounds,
That's a great
too.
view of the
Alright.
mounds that we saw earlier in the dive, and then we stopped seeing them, and they're reappearing.
Looking back, 101.
okay, come in real quick, video. Okay, Watchley, we're just gonna be able to get a really quick zoom on this.
Okay. And there's one of those Sibellid polychaete tubes behind the sponge.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna,
Is that a
we're-
barnacle also?
Can come
Oh, I
out
thought
whenever
that
you
was
need
the
me to.
polychaete.
all
I don't
right.
know, I can't tell.
quite tell.
Yeah.
Can't
All
see
right,
the
full
base.
wide video. Sorry about that, watch lead.
Full wide.
During that drift test, we kind of got a little.
barnacle there on the back of the
Yep.
sponge, but this
Yeah,
sponge
go
is
ahead.
interesting because
Alright.
it looks like there are multiple
Kick out
sponges
ahead.
growing
Thanks,
on the same
pilot.
stock,
Yep.
or else this one is just taking on a much larger growth form.
Yeah, it was hard to make out how where one might have begun and the other ended from that quick shot, but
Yeah, really punch it
And I
forward.
apologize, I'm
Okay.
really delayed on the video today, so I see I'm chiming in after you've already left.
Good night. From a distance, some of these burrow
Tilting up.
features they look like fish or organisms. But they
Passing
just turn
90,
out to be
passing
burrows
80.
or mounds from burrowing.
Okay, I'm looking 45 now.
Haven't seen any of the beaked
Copy that.
whale feeding holes.
no, that
Tilts
was.
up to 40.
It's been a long time since we've seen
Okay.
one of
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna slow down a little bit. Okay, I think we're.
It's looking good.
Is that a shrimp?
I think it might be a polychaete.
Yeah, let's get a zoom on that baby.
Okay. We'll try and chase him. I think he might
I think
be.
he's going to win.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a shrimp. Is that a mysid? Couldn't quite tell before he got away.
It's a little more agile.
I see something like dangling off the football there. I might just turn my head a bit and zoom in.
Yesterday we did a midwater dive above
the video. Can you zoom in
this
on
same
Sirius
current
a bit?
Yeah.
north of here.
Might
Saw
just be
some really
tape from the football,
fascinating
but I just wanna make
planktonic
sure.
organisms at various depths, and our colleague on board, Stephanie Bush
That looks like yellow tape.
of the Smithsonian, did an excellent job educating us on the organisms we were
Yeah.
capturing in
Okay.
view.
Come out. Thank you.
No problem.
In the next couple of days, you'll probably get a chance to see on the web many of the images that our fabulous video team has. They've taken still shots or screen grabs off the video.
Tilting
So
up.
many of our
I'm looking at
close-ups
you.
with this incredible
35
camera
degrees.
Copy.
will be labeled so you know what you're looking at yourself, and you'll be able to view them and use them, hopefully, educate others, get the word out that exploration is worthwhile, that we are searching the unknown and finding some very interesting organisms and habitats. They've also pieced together, each day they piece together a video highlight. I don't know if any of these are yet posted, probably today, maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure if the weekend causes a delay with the onshore posting, but they're pretty good about all that.
Want to come in video?
Yep. Can we kill the lasers?
Lasers off.
Tilting down.
Wow, that's a great shot.
You can see how his claws are just coated with this sticky mud that he's walking through.
He needs little snowshoes.
That's right.
This little stalked sponge on the left.
Doesn't seem to be deterred by D2 in his path.
Not at all.
He's coming to visit us.
Who do you think will back off first?
Notice that several of the hermit crabs we've seen have this same shell. I've never seen that
Doesn't
species.
look like
I
he's
certainly don't
stopping
see them
anytime
crawling
soon.
around. Of course, they might be living underneath.
And actually, it might not even be a shell at all. It might be just an anemone.
The entire thing is an anemone? Because it looked, I think there's a spiral on the other
Oh,
side.
you can see an actual shell.
He's starting to get a little
Well,
too
but there are
close.
these anemones that create the shell themselves, and the advantage there is that there are so few gastropods in the deep sea that the crab doesn't have to keep finding.
Oh, this
That's as
is
far
what you
down
were
as I
talking
can
about
go.
yesterday. Okay. Very interesting.
Looks like he's
Well,
gonna
that
win.
would explain why,
I think he's looking
There
for
are
a
so
bigger
many of
shell.
Yeah.
because there are no snails.
It's a bonus for the anemone as well, because
Sure.
there's much hard space for the anemone to be on, so they're both winning.
Yeah, and the anemone gets a free ride, doesn't have to stay in one place.
It's higher up in the currents. Everything.
Video's gonna switch out.
Copy.
What's that right in front of us? Just
Copy that,
flowing
bridge.
by.
Could I ask for another
Is that
one,
Cruising.
please? Same thing, 50
Is that a
meters
tiny
at 350 degrees. Speed
Wasn't
is
moving much.
0.2 knots.
but doesn't have to in this current.
Good copy, bridge. Thank you.
Drift along.
It's going
That's
with the flow.
another 50-meter move called in, pilots.
Copy that.
Copy,
Nav.
Nav.
Watch lead, this is ROV Nav. Just want to let you know that we have completed another 100-meter transect, a total of 700 meters on this dive.
So we've just crossed 700 meters worth of transecting.
So
Copy that, bridge. Thank you.
We're at 3,327 feet. Meters, sorry. 3,327 meters.
And based on our sonar, multi-beam sonar profile, we're nearing the crest of this giant bed form.
It's another line of burrows or whatever these little mounds are. And another trail. Maybe a hard urchin trail. We haven't seen as many of those today at all as we did yesterday.
And the day before.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting how the little mounds are so linear.
I wonder if it's the same organism.
I was wondering that also.
You know, they burrow and mound in one place and then move on to the next.
Looks like another moonscape.
Okay, full wide video.
Yeah, almost all of the organisms that we've seen have been stalked. So I guess
Yeah.
they have to stay off that soft
Yep.
mud.
And their foundation is sargassum. Who would have thought? I certainly had never heard that sargassum even sank
Copy
to the
that, Bridge. Thank
seafloor,
you
let
very
alone
much.
became
And we'd like to go
substrate for
ahead and move right
organisms
into another move.
at depth.
Same thing,
certainly
50
see them
meters at
attract and
350
provide
degrees.
habitat at the
Speed
sea
0.2, please.
For some organisms, that's the only possible location to
Good
gather
copy,
and
Bridge.
feed
Thank
and
you.
hide
That's another 50-meter move.
out in the open
pilots.
ocean.
Copy that now.
So they
You said
recycle
we'll
very
get there
well.
with like a 6-minute
Yeah.
wait time.
Not anymore. We're falling behind a little bit. We'll be about 6 minutes away from it now. From the,
It's fine.
we'll be right within the
Yeah, I
area.
don't know
Though.
which
that-
came first,
I
if it's
think
the
this is
stocked
Just kind of an
organisms,
arbitrary point that the
and then
plateau is on.
the sargassum
We should make it
gets
very close
caught
to
on
the
them,
peak,
or
though.
whether the sargassum is there. The sargassum generally looks rather new, and I would imagine that the organisms, the stocked organisms,
Copy that,
are
Bridge.
probably
Thank
a bit
you.
older than
So and
the
also we'll want to
sargassum that we're
probably
seeing,
bring
because
the
I would
ship to a
imagine
stop
that the
10 minutes
sargassum would
before we
either
need
be
to set up
eaten
to
or
come off
broken
bottom.
down.
Let it settle out before we get into formation.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we currently have 35 more minutes.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, of bottom time.
Okay.
We're not doing any transects today, correct? It's just straight
No,
up.
no, I think we're just coming right up.
All right.
So 10 minutes before we need to set up, let's get the ship stopped.
Yeah.
So that it'll settle out.
We'll stop the ship at 18:30.
Sounds good.
Get that in. Yeah, we just got kicked out of the chat room and have found our way back in. It looks like other people are having a little bit of trouble right now too with video.
Something over here.
We've
Fish.
been on bottom for about 3.5 hours, and we have traversed over 700 meters so far.
And we have, what, about a half hour? Probably less
You
than
wanna
a half
come in
hour to
video?
go.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
This is a shorter dive due to the great depth. We still launch the vehicle and recover the vehicle at the same time each day, or roughly the same time. So certainly these deeper dives have a longer descent period, significantly long descent period, and we have to leave the seafloor earlier. So these are short dives.
And this is another Coryphaenoides rat tail.
Video later on, we'll want to look at the modem logs to see if the EBNO went out.
The chat is
See, mine isn't. I wonder if
Tilting down, looking at you 70 degrees.
Okay, I'm going to start heading back into the middle and out front.
Okay.
It's a pretty hot video.
Tilting up. 50 degrees.
Watch Lee, this is ROV Nav. Wanted to let you know that we have 30 minutes of bottom time left in the dive today.
So for those of you who have stuck with us through the whole dive, we have about a half hour left on the bottom, so hope that you'll stick around because something really exciting is just about to happen. I know it.
It always does, right? Right at the very end. Yesterday I got very excited. Right at the very end, we encountered a rock that we could actually collect. So fortunately, we just had enough time to collect it and made this geologist very happy. And others, I'm sure.
It was actually a very beautiful rock.
It really
I was
was.
surprised at how pretty it was when we got it up on the ship.
We had seen outcrops of it in several places, but every time we nudged them, they were very securely in place. So right at the end, we found one that we could actually dislodge. It had no organisms on it, unfortunately, because we like to have that bonus on a rock, certainly. But we had seen that same rock with several very large sponges, that same type of rock. So, well, at least we know it can serve as great habitat for some very large sponges. I don't think we could possibly have a large sponge in this environment. There's nothing on which to attach. That sargassum is only going to give you so much anchorage.
Yeah, the only coral species I could imagine that would live here would be the flabellum, genus flabellum, and they actually live sitting on sedimented surfaces or substrates.
What is the adaptation that allows them to do that? Do they must not be carried off by the current?
Yeah, so it must be a fairly low current area.
Yeah.
We found them in the middle of the canyons, in mid-Atlantic canyons.
Really?
Trawling in the middle there in this type of habitat. But they actually do have a tiny little base, so they begin by settling on something, but it can be like a little bit bigger than a sand grain, maybe some tiny pebble, but then they basically grow, and then they must be heavy enough to just not get knocked around too much.
Go ahead, watch lead. If we just continue motoring on, it will take about 41 minutes, and we currently have 29 minutes left. So,
Well, tell me the ship just has been moving the whole time.
The ship has been moving the whole time, so it's not stopping to look at samples or to take snap videos. Our second vehicle, Sirius, has been moving constantly, and so we have been making our way towards. And as far as I know, waypoint 2 is kind of arbitrary. The whole area up there is near the crest, so we should be seeing similar area to what the crest would be like in the time that we have.
Oopsie.
So we just talked with Nav, and it looks like we're not going to have enough time to reach the crest, but likely this is very similar to the slope near the crest. And
You want to zoom out?
we wouldn't be able to go down the other side anyway. It's very difficult for us to see anything when the bottom is dropping off in front of us. So we're just going to continue to cruise along. We can only pause briefly for video zoom-ins because of the ship moving ahead of us.
You can go ahead and zoom back in. It's fine.
These look like giant plow marks. And not iceberg kind of plow marks, but it's like somebody's been here. That's interesting. There's another of the Brisingid sea stars. Can we get a zoom on the face where it's all the spotted area? It looks like holes, or it might be organisms.
Sure, come on in video.
It's a condominium, it looks like.
Yeah.
Look at that. Very interesting. Interesting. Yep, there's some residents there in the lower right.
Oh, I wonder if those are amphipods.
There's several. There's one peeking out right in the middle.
Here, why don't you go wide video and then I'll set up and then we can get a better look.
It's a retirement community.
Yes, and the Brisingid is quite aware of some of the residents, I suspect.
Bridge, this is ROV nav.
It's quite a deep
It
hole.
really is. That's what I was saying.
We'd
It
like
looks like
to
it's been
add another
plowed.
50 meters to that last move. So 50 meters at 350
Okay, come on in
degrees,
video.
speed of 0.2 knots, please.
That's great.
Wow, look at that.
Good copy, Bridge. Thank you very much.
I
Say
think
another
they
50
do look
meters
like
in, pilots.
amphipods.
Copy. Thank you. I guess we're going to be swapping shifts at 1830.
Cliff-dwelling amphipods.
Yeah, that will
Yes,
be perfect. I'll
yeah.
bring the ship to a stop. So
Can we
we'll have
pan
this
over to the right a little bit?
meters
Sure.
come in.
There was
We should
somebody
end
else,
around
yeah.
like 1825,
Something
and then
lower
I'll call in like
right.
a 20-meter move,
There's
which should get
several
us to
popping out.
1830
Sure.
Yeah.
at a stop, and then
Huh.
9 minutes to swing, and then we'll come up.
Sounds good.
Some larger holes and then all the smaller ones surrounding certain areas.
So I wonder if the
Copy that,
amphipods
Bridge. Thank you
actually
very much.
dig these holes.
Or
If
they're
you
just
wanna
taking
just make it a
advantage
70
of
meter
them.
move, just to bring us all the way into
There certainly
1830,
are
you
a
could do
lot
that
of
too.
them.
Yeah.
More
It's
and
pretty
more
easy for
coming
them
out
to
to see what the
change the distance if you want
all
to
the
do that. It's
ruckus
up to you.
is.